Tour, brought to you by the wonderful people over at Ultimate Guard and Twitch. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan here in the booth. Nick Miller, I'm sure you'll see him down there in the feature match area here soon enough, is Zan Syed, #1 overall seed, #6 on the SCG Tour leaderboard, playing against Peter Hollman, #8 overall seed. It's Humans, it's 4-color Death Shadow, and it's a great start here for Zan with a Cavern of Souls naming Humans and an Ether Vial.
And this is one of the matchups where you're really going to see the premium of creatures on your main phase versus creatures at instant speed.
It'll be a Mishra's Bauble here and an activation. Hollman wants to know exactly what Zan is working with, so he'll get that information. And that'll be made known to Zan here once he actually does take a draw step next turn. For now, Peter with a little bit of the information game in his favor as he'll cycle a Street Wraith and fall down to 18.
This is taking me back.
Yeah, it's been a little bit since we've seen Death Shadow, a deck that ran all over on the SCG Tour last year. Not so much this year, as an Overgrown Tomb is going to bring Hollman down to 16. Next up is a Traverse the Uvenwald to search for a basic. So you got a sorcery, an artifact, and a creature in the graveyard. And it doesn't take much to get Delirium accomplished. Just going to need a land now at this stage too. And there will be a Mishra's Bauble trigger that it appears that Peter Hollman will not forget. Something that is so easy to do. For Hollman, it's been a wild tournament, but he was able to make the top 8 off the back of a Traverse the Uvenwald with Delirium that found a Gore Clan Rampager against Peter Tubergen to be able to attack for lethal on a very important turn with 2 copies of Death Shadow. For Zan Syed, it may be a little bit less dramatic, as Humans has been very good for him because Zan came very much prepared this weekend to beat Dredge with his sideboard.
Yeah, the one Humans player we've seen so far that seems to be giving the Dredge its proper respect. Inoffensive the foremost, a fine card. I don't think enough to swing the matchup. Tormod's Crypt, on the other hand, that is something that really shifts it, and I have only seen in Zaid's list so far this weekend.
It'll be a Swamp and a Thoughtseize here for Peter Hollman. That'll target Zan. It's going to bring Hollman down to 14. Zan will respond by vialing in a 1-drop, and it'll be Champion of the Parish that comes through the vial. We'll take a look at Zan's hand here, and he's got 2 copies of Phantasmal Image along with a Thalia's Lieutenant and a Reflector Mage. So a very Reflector Mage heavy draw here, potentially, with Reflector Mage being copied by Phantasmal Image. Hollman might just want to select the actual Reflector Mage itself.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of paths for Zaid's hand here because of those Phantasmal Image. He can be very aggressive with a Thalia's Lieutenant and copying those, and if Hollman deploys creatures to the battlefield, then you have Reflector Mage and the ability to bounce that.
It looks like Hollman's going to select Thalia's Lieutenant, however.
The other side of this, though, is Zaid's hand is not very good against a bunch of removal spells. Because if you are able to take down the one attacking creature, then your leftovers are Phantasmal Image and Reflector Mage with not a whole lot to do.
A Vial will go up to 2. That means those Phantasmal Images can slide through the Vial if they'd like. For now, Zan's going to start off with just an attack for 1. I guess that's the easy part after all. Hollman's going to fall down to 13. And Zan will simply pass the turn back over to Peter. Peter will draw a card. Peter's still just 1 card type away from having Delirium as he plays a Forest.
Yeah, oddly enough, missing land. Not a common one here.
That is unusual. I'm inclined to agree. As Hollman is going to play, it looks like a Liliana of the Veil, a card we have not seen any of this weekend, will come down. The Planeswalker will go up to 4. Both players are going to have to discard a card here, as it looks like Zan is going to discard one of those Phantasmal Images, and a Tarfire will go into the graveyard. Phantasmal Image is going to copy Champion of the Parish, put a counter there on the champion that's already onto the battlefield. So a 2-2 and a 1-1 champion as Zan heads into his 4th turn. Excuse me, his 3rd turn of the game.
I'm a little surprised there that Hollman wouldn't take the opportunity just to knock out one of the creatures. It feels like if you're going to Liliana and plussing, you have some aspirations of being able to have it survive a turn, but that seems very unlikely based on what Hollman already knows about Zaid's hand.
It'll be a Militia Bugler. Sound the horn. Going to pump up the Humans here. And pardon me, it actually is his 4th turn of the game. As there will be a trigger here, Thalia's Lieutenant, Champion of the Parish among these cards. It will be a Thalia's Lieutenant that Zan does select. I'll be slightly surprised that he elected not to go with the Champion of the Parish, because that's another creature that he could play in this instance. Make the champions that are on the battlefield a little bit bigger, but that explains it as he drew a land, and now here is a Lieutenant. So Lieutenant will come down, it's going to pump up all of these creatures, and if Zan would like to finish off Liliana of the Veil, he can very easily do so now at this stage.
But this is why I was skeptical of Hollman's line previously, is none of this should be coming as a surprise. The Bugler's a new card, but it wasn't really necessary to get to the point where Zaid's battlefield was overwhelming. And if he's minus a creature, things look a little bit different.
Buehler certainly did look good there, that's for sure. And Zan's last card in hand actually is a copy of Reflector Mage, as we do know. So if Peter's trying to stabilize this game with creatures, well, we know that's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the die was kind of cast there earlier in the game with Hollman's Thoughtseize. If you're taking the Thalia's Lieutenant, that's just to me, you're not really trying to get it done with creatures. You're trying to attrition out Zaid's resources with removal spells, and then deal with the Reflector Mages somewhere down the line. Hollman's line there, I think, just played right into Zaid, just dumping out his whole hand. And then he can't stabilize with a Tarmogoyf to block because, one, creatures are too large, and two, he knows about the Reflector Mage.
That's going to do it for game number one. As Zan Syed's going to win game number one over Peter Hollman. Humans up a game here over 4-color Death Shadows. We're going to go to the sideboards. We're going to start with Peter Hollman and his 2 Liliana the Last Hope, 2 Fulminator Mage, 2 Collective Brutality, 2 Assassin's Trophy, 2 Fatal Push, 2 Surgical Extraction, a Languish card we haven't seen in a long time, along with his Scavenging Ooze, and a Phyrexian Revoker.
Well, give me the Languish for sure. I mean, that's custom made for this kind of matchup, along with the 2 Fatal Pushes. I imagine you could try to get it done with Assassin's Trophy here as well. You know, another good removal spell. Liliana the Last Hope, probably not great in this matchup. Zaid's creatures get a little bit too big, and it doesn't really kill a whole lot of stuff, so it's not like recurring things is that interesting. But maybe an upgrade over some of the other stuff he's got in his deck.
Take a look at Zan's sideboard now. He's got 3 Knight of Autumns, 2 Izzet Staticaster, 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Gaddock Teeg, 2 Aura Champion, 2 Tormod's Crypt, a Dismember, and that Singleton Whirler Rogue that's starting to become commonplace in human sideboards.
So I really like the Whirler Rogue. And past that, you know, Auric Champion, Dismember, there's arguments for all that kind of stuff. And Zaid's probably got some easy cuts here as well. But not a whole lot to really latch onto in the sideboard, just 4 cards.
Fair enough. Get a couple of results here very quickly, as these players are playing pretty quickly through our top 8, our quarterfinals. It is Modern after all. So we take a look here, and Alec Jones wins game number 1 here over Darius Schulman. That's our number 5 overall seed. Alec Jones playing, make sure I have this correct here. He is on Dredge, where Darius Schulman is on Humans, so Dredge able to break serve there. Ian Thorne on Dredge, up a game right now over Thomas Berry. Thomas Berry, I believe, also on Humans, if memory does serve. Actually, on Infect, pardon me, a matchup you actually liked for Infect. Or, excuse me, you liked for Dredge.
Yes.
And then Kevin Ambler is on Humans, up a game over Tannen Grace, playing Tron.
That 1 Medak Dark Blast is the swing card for me. I don't know if
make a difference.
Don't know if it came up, but that's one of the better cards in the whole format you can have against Infect.
Of course, when we do have other updates on games, we'll let you know, along with match results as we work our way towards the semifinals. For now, last time we'll talk about the StarCityGames.com weekly sale here on the SCG Tour broadcast, as you can save up to 50% off select full art lands.
And you are running out of time, because tomorrow, 11 a.m. East Coast time, there will be a new sale with a new category. So if you want to get up to 50% off, select full art lands. Make sure to head over to go.starcitygames.com/weekly sale.
Look at that wastes.
Wastes.
Yeah. For Zan Syed, it's another top 8 on the resume here. Number 6 on the SCG Tour leaderboard. Probably going to be climbing up a little bit now. Number 1 overall seed here this weekend is Zan. And this will be top 8 number 8 and potentially win number 2 for the 26-year-old from Atlanta, Georgia. The team captain of Team Lotus Box enjoys exploring new restaurants and new cities, much like we did yesterday.
We found a winner.
Gus's Fried Chicken.
Found a winner.
And later tonight, I know you've never been to Velvet Taco before, but you'll be glad you did.
Okay, cool.
Trust me.
Cool.
It's going to be a good eats and good beats. Loves himself some basketball. Was born in L.A. and a huge Lakers fan. Get a tough start for the old Lake Show.
This season is supposed to be more fun than good, is my understanding. Next year,
currently neither.
No, they play a very entertaining brand of basketball, and fights break out.
That's true.
That's like, what else is there? What else is there?
And they started Team Lotus Box. What else is there is an interesting question, that's for sure. That is Zan Syed currently up a game here in his quarterfinal match against Peter Hollman. Hollman will be on the play, however, so we'll see how things do go there. And we can let you know that Tannen Grace very quickly tied things up against Kevin Ambler, so Humans and Tron, Humans in the hands of Kevin Ambler, and Tron of the mono green variety in the hands of Tannen Grace, going to game number 3. What else is there?
I'm broadly pro-fights breaking out.
Oh, I'm very pro-fights. I'm not broadly anything in that regard. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. And I like that Chris Paul and Rajon Rondo, they've had beef for a long time.
It's great.
So why not?
It's great.
Brandon Ingram, I'm not sure what your deal is.
That was weird.
Throwing punches for no reason.
I don't know. I think that if I was guarding James Harden for any length of time, I could see myself doing the same thing.
That's okay. Okay.
It fails. I mentioned this before. It fails the a test that I like to use is if someone showed up to a random park and started doing this stuff, would you tell them to leave? James Harden fails that test.
Okay.
So I don't mind. I really don't mind punching him.
I'm very interested in park etiquette when you're playing. So, as an example, like if James Harden was doing his nonsense of running into you, you would ask him to leave. What can you call traveling in a in a game?
Yes.
And you won't get like attacked by people there?
I think calling traveling. Most court, obviously every court's gonna have its own rules. Calling traveling, if it's egregious, is totally acceptable.
Okay.
3 in the key is not okay to call unless someone's plainly being abusive about it.
Okay.
They're just standing underneath the basket that's not okay.
Okay.
We call that the Ben Brode. Shout out.
Don't know who or what that is.
Former lead designer of Hearthstone, who I play.
Okay.
Just kidding, kind of. I think the worst thing that you can do is try to take a charge off the ball. If you slide underneath someone who's not the person you're guarding, calling charges in a pickup game is already kind of sketchy. The person who's on offense has to basically be throwing their arms around or shoulder blocking you to have a charge be legit. But if you slide underneath someone off the ball, you got to go. That's not okay. That also happened at Blizzard games. There's one guy, I forget his name, but he liked to try to take charges. And it's just, 1, super dangerous, and 2, what are you doing?
Well, I asked the traveling question mostly because it does appear that James Harden travels a lot on some of his step backs and other moves.
No, he's actually,
he might just be a genius.
He's actually a master at picking up his dribble at exactly the right time to get an extra step.
Okay.
He's a ballet dancer.
Because I imagine in a pickup game, if people were unfamiliar, they would call it traveling, and a fight could break out in that because I'm not traveling.
No, it's an optical illusion. He's not traveling.
Okay.
I know it's crazy making and annoying, but no, he's not.
All right, fair enough.
He's not.
I would like to be the troll who just calls people for fouls at a pickup game. Is there ever a blocking call?
Yeah, but it's usually just it's just ball out of bounds or whatever.
All right.
It is typically a real breach of etiquette to call a foul in a play that you're not involved in.
All right. That's fair. Looks like Peter's going to take a mulligan here while Zan might also be doing the same.
If you're guarding me and my teammate goes, you fouled him on the shot, that's really bad. Ooh. It's like, that's my call to make, not anyone else's.
Got it. All right, I like pickup game. This is fun, learning about pickup etiquette.
Yeah.
Haven't played a pickup game since high school.
Yeah. Trying to pick up a charge off the ball is just...
Time to go.
Or you can stay and we can handle it the other way. But, no, it's not...
Fair enough. I like it. Lakers, it's a tough start for the Lake Show.
But fun.
But it has the moments of being fun, I suppose. These players are going to take a look at 6 cards. Again, Zan Syed currently up a game here over Peter Hollman. Darius Schulman, number 4 overall seed. Down a game right now to Alex Jones. Ian Thorne, number 2 overall seed with Dredge. Up a game over Thomas Berry playing Infect. Kevin Ambler with Humans. And Tannen Grace with Mono Green Tron. They are in their 3rd and final game. Don't forget, next weekend, SCG Tour headed over to Charlotte, the Queen City. Matthias Hunt, Ryan Overturf, Nick Miller, and the rest of the gang will be bringing you some, I believe, modern action there that weekend. So that should be fun. Charlotte, one of my low-key, one of my favorite places to go play some Magic. It's got a nice downtown area.
It is a nice place to play a Magic tournament for sure. Buffalo Wild Wings,
right there.
You can actually, if you stand outside the convention center and turn in 360 degrees, there is no place that you can stand where you cannot see a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Get you some of those overpriced wings.
It's like the Charlotte version of the sun never sets on the British Empire. And also, if you're in Charlotte, you can never not see a Buffalo Wild Wings, if that's your thing.
I can't remember what their slogan is. I want to say it right now, but I just don't know what it is. It's probably not very good, though, as Peter has already used a Mishra's Bauble and now is sacrificing a Polluted Delta. This is an Overgrown Tomb. I keep wanting to say we've got the meats, but that's Arby's slogan.
Right.
That's not Buffalo Wild Wings. This hand is it's a little land heavy here for Zan on the mulligan. Noble Hierarch, champion of the parish, 4 lands, an Ancient Ziggurat, a Seachrome Coast, an unclaimed territory, and a Horizon Canopy. It looks like champion of the parish will go straight to the graveyard.
Yeah, I think this hand's probably a mulligan if the Horizon Canopy is some other land.
I agree with
On
you.
6 cards, you can talk yourself into this.
Yeah. And it's so very important when you're playing humans to start with a 1-drop. And Zan had 2 of those.
Yeah. Not a great looking hand, but I think on 6, Zan's correct in keeping this.
Just kind of demonstrates the power of Horizon Canopy, truth be told.
It is busted.
Able to keep a hand
Not
like this.
an okay card. Not okay.
For Peter, he'll draw his card from the bauble, and we'll head Zan's way. Zan will draw a copy of Champion of the Parish. And I still think I would want to lead there if I'm Zan.
I think so too. You just gotta get as much as you can get out of each individual card. With a hand that is this heavy on mana and light on stuff, I don't think you can really put a premium on mana efficiency, and just you need to maximize your cards.
Hollman will draw. And he's unsure what he wants to do now. I do know that he has a Thoughtseize in hand. It's probably not all that appealing to take Noble Hierarch at this stage of things.
I still think you need to cast it now, because after this, Zan's going to he's going to cast the Noble Hierarch next turn, and the Thoughtseize won't line up with anything. It's really your last spot to use a discard spell.
And now here is Fatal Push. Well, we do have an update here for you. Alec Jones with Dredge going to win his match over Darius Schulman. So Dredge moving on here at the SCG Dredge Open. Going to play the winner of this match between Zan and Peter Hollman. Now, we've been informed here by AJ Soccer that the slogan of Buffalo Wild Wings is Wings, Beer, Sports, which AJ knows because it's so exceedingly bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay to keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we do, not particularly well.
Right. If you really just hate your family so much that you can't countenance the idea of spending a Sunday with them, we are open for you to hang out with one of your stupid friends and watch the, let's call it Titans game.
Peter with the Traverse the Uvenwald. Can it be anything but the Titans?
Let's call it the Titans.
Ugh. Just good enough for people to think that they're good.
Right.
We're going to search up a Death Shadow with Peter Hollman. It's just a 1-1 right now, so we're going to head over to Zan Syed. Vile's going to go up to 1. They should change their slogan to Cold Wings, Warm Beer, because that's 2 staples of Buffalo Wild Wings.
I would go with, my new slogan would be, it's okay to hate your family.
Yeah. That's tough to put on. That's tough to put on a commercial, dude. Even for you, that's tough to put on a commercial.
Have you ever watched a Buffalo Wild Wings commercial?
Yes, I have.
That is the vibe they're going for.
Yeah. Atarma going for post-combat here. They got a 4 or 5.
Oh, his wife's calling. Everyone shut up.
Zan will crack Horizon Canopy.
Just 3 beers deep, pretending like you just went out for a drive.
The Vile is...
I just need to go clear my head for a little while, you know? And I decided to do it here. Because it's the only place I can get quiet. The Vile is up to 2. Why don't I work in marketing?
Why don't
I make commercials?
You could really save some franchises that are dying.
Yeah.
You could have been the savior of Movie Pass.
Right. You don't want to. You don't want to. Now I know there's a bad association with this place, and some of the culture surrounding it. And I propose, what if we leaned into it instead of running from it? What if we embraced it?
Just lean in.
Just lean in.
Yeah. Kolagon's Command in Peter Hollman's hand now. Let's see what this is going to be. This will be another copy of Traverse the Uvenwald.
Go get a land here.
Yeah, he will. He's going to go get a fetch land. To really beef up that Death Shadow. He'll sacrifice that Bloodstained Mire. And now there's a Stomping Ground.
And you can get non-basics when you have Delirium.
The Zan will sacrifice Horizon Canopy to draw another card. So now Death Shadow, pretty big. Looks like Tarmogoyf's going to get a little bit bigger potentially.
Yeah, usual suspects plus artifact, I think. Yeah.
5/6. Getting tough here for Zan Syed.
Imagine Hollman will be trucking on in here in just a moment.
Seems ideal. Death Shadow a 4/4, Tarmogoyf a 5/6, and Zan with what appears to be no good blocks.
Hollman's leftovers here, nothing to sneeze at with a Tarmogoyf and a Kolaghan's command.
Yeah, not too bad, right? And there is another Tarmogoyf. And Zan's got nothing to violin. He's going to bring his vial up to 3, so he's gonna have to get something done here in a big way, folks, to be able to get this game back.
And racing is kind of off the table here since you can't attack on the ground, and attacking in the air a little sketchy too.
Well, that is a Mantis Rider. And if Zan wants to get busy in the air, he can do so with that powerful creature, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, because, you know, the Death Shadow here, you know this tension well. Zan's already approaching the territory where he's just going to have to chump block anyway, so maybe it doesn't cost him anything to swing in. But
well, I think in this situation, Zan's got to try to play to his outs to win the game. And if that's the case, I think you probably have to attack, assuming he has another blocker.
Your position is not getting better.
No, it is not. No attack here is a little bit interesting to me just because, again, I don't think the position is getting much better. And I think that if he does attack, if he does not have another blocker,
the issue here, I think,
in some trouble.
The issue here is that, I mean, the scariest thing that Syed could have here is vialing through a Reflector Mage. But it's so good for Hollman just to go move into combat and attack and force the issue that there's not even really a mistake for Hollman to make. He just attacks, and that should do it.
Yeah, and I think Zan is just dead. Yes.
Yeah, just gets shot down.
Dead. Yeah. So that takes care of that, as Peter Hollman's going to win game number 2 here over Zan Syed. 4-color Death Shadow and Humans are going to get ready for a third and final one. Well, we got another update here for you. Ian Thorne with Dredge defeats Thomas Berry, playing Infect. So Ian Thorne and Tan and Grace will do battle on our other side of the bracket here in our semifinals. That'll be Dredge versus Mono Green Tron. And for Alec Jones, he's also playing Dredge. He's going to be going up against the winner of this match, and Zan Syed and Peter Hollman. There you do see their Humans and 4-color Death Shadow sideboards here, with Zan Syed on the play. Unfortunately for Zan, a pretty land-heavy hand there, but like you mentioned, I just don't think a hand that you can mulligan.
No, I mean, a 6-card hand, you know, some stuff to do, a Horizon Canopy, not a good-looking hand, didn't draw particularly well after the fact. Hollman's draw was very nice on 6 cards, and, you know, sucks for Zan, but not a whole lot of regret you can have in that game. I think he did what he could.
Well, we're going to go over SCG Game Night here very quickly, folks. It is the fun and friendly promotion that we've put together for a handful of years here, where we of course have some awesome pins and tokens for you to acquire, and you can bring this to your store pretty easily.
Exactly. If you head over to go.rcgames.com/game night, you can find out more information. Every month we produce new pins and tokens we send to stores that are signed up for game night, and then stores can run the events however they want to and distribute the pins and tokens to their players. We have the remainder of the year lined up for you. Right now it's October, that's Heads of the Class, and we have the November and December kits here in Rise from the Nashes, and lastly Bramble Hopper Elite. Again, go.thursdaygames.com/game night. Find the game night closest to you in stores. If you want to get signed up for game night, contact your Star City Games in-store play representative.
Game number 3 about to be underway here, and this will conclude our quarterfinals in just a bit. Now, make sure you are following at SCG Tour if you do want to get the results right away for what's happening. Nick Miller, man in that SCG Tour account right now, just tweeted out, as we mentioned, Tan and Grace with Mono Green Tron did defeat Kevin Ambler 2-1. So, again, we're going to be seeing him in just a little bit here. That should be good. And then, of course, the winner of this match going to be playing against Alec Jones. Our two Dredge players are through already to the semifinals. This has been a very Dredge-filled tournament, my friends. Very, very Dredge-filled. And the deck continues to demonstrate just how good it is. We're going to see Zan Syed on the play. Now, Zan can be the foil here to Dredge because of those Tornbout scripts.
Well, Tannen also on the other side of the bracket has the opportunity to do just that. If there's any weakness of the established decks that Dredge has, I think it's probably a pretty soft Tron matchup with the main deck Relics. And we're going to see that on the other side of the bracket when our semifinals kicks off.
It'll be a Cavernous Souls naming human and champion of the parish as we head back over to Peter Hollman.
These opening turns here from Death Shadow, so complicated with the street race and bobbles and who do you target and do you want to give yourself an opportunity to shuffle your own deck or get information on the top of your opponent's deck.
Yeah, don't ask me about any of that.
So a lot of times you see these Death Shadow players, they draw their opening 8 and then just stare at it forever. And it's not because they're playing slowly, it's just for a lot of their a lot of games, it's the most complicated turn of the game.
Thoughtseize time. Two Ancient Ziggurats to dismember a Thalia Lieutenant and a Thalia Guardian of Thraben for Peter Hollman to select from.
Yep. I'm guessing because of the dismember here, you would err towards... ignore me. I was going to say, you would err towards the Thalia's Lieutenant, try to make Zaid's hand slow and reactive. But if Hollman's just on a bunch of cheap spells, then Thalia's the biggest issue, most likely.
That's the selection as we're going to go back over to Zan Syed. Picked up a copy of Mantis Rider. I like deploying a Thalia's Lieutenant here. Make the champion into a 3-3 and get some damage through. Going to knock Hollman already down to 13. Now this does play into what Hollman's deck does want to do, of course. It does want to have its life total be decreased. But
well, up
here we are.
Up to a point.
Yes. It can only go so far.
Not to 0.
Yes, yes. Good point there, partner.
Thank you.
Yeah. Again, between this and some earlier
commentary about
the Leyline of the Void, it's going to be hard to say no to that raise.
I got it all.
Fatal Push will take care of the champion of the parish. And now we're going to head back over to Zan, who again does have a copy of Mantis Rider in hand. Also has a copy of Kitesail Freebooter at this stage of things. He'll play an Ancient Ziggurat, and it looks like he's going to lead out with the Freebooter and trigger the Thalia's Lieutenant. Maybe give himself a little protection. Make sure his Mantis Rider does live.
Yeah, the issue... Ooh.
Hello, Languish. Zan getting a good look at the hand here. Looks like there might be a Liliana, the last hope.
I think some of the motivation here to lead with Freebooter over Mantis Rider also is if you play Mantis Rider and send both, you are pretty vulnerable the next turn to Kolagon's command. Because you lose your 2-2 and you're down a card. Yep. Freebooter gives you a little bit of cushion there.
Yeah, it just depends on what you want to accomplish in my mind.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's all playing around different stuff. Certainly knowing about Languish is valuable.
That does help.
I mean, you could take a line here of just take the Kolagon's command and hope that Hollman doesn't find land number 4. It's not trivial for him to cast Languish. The deck doesn't have that many lands in it.
I don't hate that strategy.
It's just hard for me to imagine you just leave Kolagon's command in hand and then next turn get popped.
Yeah, you lose something to it.
Well, you're going to lose the Freebooter to it, potentially.
Sure, so they can get the other card back.
Locks up whatever.
Sure.
It's on the table, he can cast it. Yeah, I mean, I understand the risk of leaving the Languish there, but I just don't know how you let him have Kolagon's command in hand for next turn.
Languish, a card we have not seen in some time, giving -4/-4 to all creatures. It was a standard staple back during its day.
Good with Siege Rhinoceros.
Good with Death Shadow and Tarmogoyf.
Also true.
Yeah.
For a little bit of a more modern update.
You would think that they'd want to go towards Damnation, but in this deck in particular, I think the preference actually is Languish, given the creatures that this deck does play. So now Zan's in the interesting spot of, am I supposed to attack you down to 11? If I do that, you can play Breeding Pool untapped. That can bring you down to 9, and then you sacrifice your Bloodstained Wire and get another land, and all of a sudden that brings you down to 6?
I just don't know. So it's complicated. You can see it on Zaid's face right now, how hard, and it comes down to very specific things about the math. I just don't know how you sit here and say go when you're looking at Languish in a couple of turns. What's the path here? I mean, you just sit back and don't attack? It looks like that's where Zaid's going to go, but under normal circumstances, I'd be down with that line. But when you're looking at Languish, it just makes me really nervous to just wait.
It's tough for me to want to do that. It is tough.
It's tough both ways. I get it, but I feel like you just gotta try to win this game before land number 4 because I don't know if Zaid really has any. What's the alternate line look like?
There's a basic swamp. I think we're going to see Liliana come down here now potentially.
Yeah, I can get behind Liliana because that's another thing that just sort of forces action out of Zaid.
The thing I don't like about not attacking here is what you're not doing is you're not giving yourself the opportunity to peel another Mantis Rider that's probably a game winner.
Yeah.
So if you attack the last turn for 2, Peter Hollman's probably at 8, and then something comes down here. You play a Mantis Rider, and then you attack with your lieutenant or something. Or let's say the lieutenant gets lowered. You're attacking for 4, so Peter is at 4 now.
Yeah,
his next land is probably a fetch or a shock. Puts himself in range of dying. What are we trying to accomplish here by not attacking? I guess is the question. And I don't care about the Planeswalker. I mean, I care a little bit, but I care about your life total more.
Yeah, and it's tough because this almost feels like face up to me that Hollman is representing. I drew land number 4 because it's so attractive for Zaid to play the Mantis Rider to try to kill it, and Hollman's kind of saying, I want you to play the Mantis Rider.
Yeah. I think in spots like this, and this is a spot too where I'm not particularly fond of going after Liliana, your goal is to kill him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got to. Zaid's he's put himself in the spot now. I mean,
yeah.
What's he supposed to?
Well, he can't pivot now.
Right. Yeah.
And now he's going to lose all of his cards, and a Kolaghan's Command is going to come back to hand. Like, I guess my problem with Zan's line of play is I don't want to play more turns.
Yeah, exactly.
The more turns I play, the worse it's going to be for me.
And it would be one thing, what if you had a couple Horizon Canopies down and you feel like you could rebuild? That would change it a little bit. That would make me a little bit more interested in waiting. But he kind of just has what he has.
Yeah. Now here's 2 copies of Death Shadow. Your Dismember's no good.
Right. Yeah, it's knowing what the last card is.
And for me, I think that Zan was able to get himself into a situation where him peeling Mantis Rider would be good enough for a win, and he is not there right now.
Right, yeah.
Peeling Mantis Rider now is fine, where before it may have just been a game winner.
Yeah. I basically agree. I don't think he was in a position to wait with the resource that he had. Playing more turns is going to get worse for him, and he needs to leave himself in a spot where he can top deck aggressive elements and maybe squeeze it out before we get to this spot.
Yep. Peeling Mantis Rider now doesn't do very much, unfortunately, for Zan. And, again, the longer this game went, the worse things were going to get for him. Obviously, you're hoping that Peter doesn't peel land number 4 for Languish, but you don't really have any control over that, and I'd rather just say this is a possibility. Let's hope it doesn't happen and try to kill you as fast as possible.
Because you also know about the Liliana, and once the Liliana's there, you're not even attacking for anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Zaid has a line there that allows him to win, but I think he needs to